Now, let's talk about the offensive side of the ball a little bit, Alex, as far as, I know we talk about Colin Hill a lot. He had a very pedestrian game as far as the stat line will show. Really offensively, you kind of had a pedestrian game as the stat line will show. You had under 300 total yards. You got outgained by Auburn in the football game. But I thought what you saw this South Carolina offense do and really the defense, the entire team, is be very opportunistic. They made Auburn pay for all of their mistakes. Those 2 touchdowns in the first half, 14 points off of Bo Nix turnovers. Talk about, though, I really feel like the difference with this football team this year, and we've talked about it before, but the steady hand of Colin Hill. He's not throwing them out of football games. He's keeping them in games. And it's not the flashiest thing in the world. It's not the most entertaining thing in the world. But again, I talked about it coming in this Auburn game, what made me feel good about South Carolina's chances. I really do feel like you finally have an identity. You ran it more than you threw it. You ran for 153 yards. I think they had like 43 or 44 rushing attempts compared to 24, I think, passes. And I love what I'm seeing from the offense, again, as far as the identity and just being stingy in the running game, understanding what works, understanding, that there are some limitations offensively. I mean, hey, Shi Smith, tip of the cap again. He balled out. I mean, he had a fantastic day. Still outside of him, you really don't have a clue who your other go-to guys are. And still week after week, and I think, again, it does come back to Colin Hill and his steady hand, you're able to put enough points on the board to win. I mean, you score 30 points, and I would say you didn't even really have a banner offensive day of any sort.
Yeah, I think the total yards numbers, I mean, it was more or less plus 200 for Auburn. I think it's a little bit misleading just because, like you said, the turnovers gave you a short field where you're able to capitalize and get points in that fashion. But, I was very happy to see a Josh Vann sighting.
Yeah, 1 catch. How about it? He's still on the team.
He's not a missing person anymore. And then, and again, going back to you, like Colin Hill's just played really, really well. Like he's doing exactly what they're asking him to do. And, when we were talking about him versus Helinski before the season started, that was, the entire crux of the argument was he understands this offense and he's not going to put the ball in harm's way. And at the end of the day, that's what the coaches are going to trust to put out there. And he's played beautifully. I mean, he
threw some dimes
where
Saturday,
people can
by
catch
the way.
it. Yeah.
He threw some absolute dimes on Saturday.
Absolutely.
That fade route to Shi, I know it was an offsides, and it's like, just throw it up. That was a dime in the back of the end zone.
It was. That was a beautiful – I mean, even the ones he was throwing down the sidelines to him, there was that one in the first quarter that Xavier Legette did not come down with, and then – which, I wouldn't consider that a drop. It's just, it's a 50-50 ball you're throwing up there. But even the one he threw to Shi on third down in the fourth quarter, I mean – you're that's all you can ask to do is put the ball in a place where your receiver can go make a play. And that's what he's doing. And, when you got somebody like Shi Smith standing out there,
do you look
that's going to be a successful strategy.
Do you kind of look at Shi as like a Kenny McKinley type?
Yeah.
I know that's a tough comparison, but yeah. I feel like that's the guy that I think of just former South Carolina receivers. And I'm like, he's that kind of player. That makes sense.
He is. He definitely, like, Kenny didn't get a bunch of jump balls, and that probably had more to do with like Sydney being on the other side. But I'm just so glad we're throwing that, because I know we were talking about that. Just throwing fade balls last year that it wasn't really something we ever did, and even with Brian Edwards standing out there. So I'm glad to see that has worked its way into the fold.